Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, back with Automation, the car company Tycoon game in the most powerful engine series. We're going to be building this Inline 3 engine with the most power with no stress. This has been requested by many people throughout my channel. In this part of the series, I show off the specs of this engine to 1. Get the most horsepower, and more importantly, not to have any pistons, conrods, or crankshaft stress whatsoever. So now, let's kick things off with this powerful yet reliable engine. So the first thing you gotta do on the top left portion of your screen is you set the year to the year of 2020 to maximize the efficiency, performance, reliability, and everything about the engine. And after choosing the Inline 3 configuration, you may choose any block material that you could choose from. I'm going to choose magnesium for the sake of weight and everything else in general. And for the engine, you set the bore capacity to 120 millimeters, max this out, and the stroke, it should automatically set this to a 90 millimeters, which you keep this at 90, and you get the engine size to 3,054 cubic centimeters, around 3.1 liters if you round this up. And we're going to be using dual overhead cam 5 valves, again, with whatever head material that you may choose from. And with this quality slider, as you see here, you set this up to a plus 15 for everything. No matter it's for the engine block in general, the turbocharger, top end, bottom end, exhaust, everything. For the balance shaft, we are required to have a balance shaft built into this engine to prevent the crankshaft from exploding. And the crank conrods and pistons, the strongest and most reliable ones, so the crankshaft billet steel with the conrod set to lightweight titanium and the piston set to regular forged. For the compression, you set this up, max this out to the extreme level of a 15.0 to 1 ratio with the cam profile set to a fairly sporty 72, and the springs and lifter, set this down by 3 clicks down to a 47. And of course, VVT at all cams like any of my other builds. For the turbocharger, we're restricted to a single turbo, but we're going to be using a smart boost system with the intercooler maxed out to 12,100 horsepower. Big boy right here, man. And we're going to be using a variable geometry ball bearing setup, which should automatically select this. And over here for the compressor, you almost max this bad boy out to 119.0 millimeters. The turbine, I believe you max this out, yes, max this out to 117.1 millimeters. The trim, max this out to 100. And a maximum boost set to a fairly high 49.3 psi, which is like 2.5 bar or something. And for the fuel system, so it's pretty much like my other build, so we're using a direct injection throttle per cylinder race intake running on the recently implemented DevMath fuel, with the fuel mixture set to an 11.8, the ignition timing set, max this bad boy out to 100, and the RPM was set to 7,100 RPM. And last but not least, for the exhaust everything, so we're going to be using a turbocharged racing headers with a single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to 203 millimeters, which that equals to 8 inches. And of course, no cats, no mufflers, bring that quality up. And we get the final horsepower rating of 1,515.1 horsepower at 7,100 RPM, and the torque at 1,120.7 pounds-feet of torque at 7,100 RPM. As we can see, there is a considerable amount of turbo lag built in with this engine, kicking it around at like 5,700 RPM, and then just shoots straight up in the air. And more importantly, as you see with the stress graph here, there's no knocking, no valve fault, no piston stress, no conrod stress, and no crankshaft stress. As you can see, it's all at a 0%, and no warnings. There are no current warnings whatsoever with this engine, which I believe is the first time in this series. Okay, for this portion of the video, I'm going to give you here what this engine sounds like. So playing around with it with the manual testing mode, I'll cycle through the main important graphs in here, starting from the power torque, torque boost, torque efficiency, and power and efficiency. After showing you all those main and important graphs on here, I'll show you the engine pretty much as is, do some fake gear shifts around like 45 seconds roughly, and one off the video right there. So bring back the graph visibility, and give you here right now. it's a loud boy alright, but more importantly, there's no stress whatsoever, and that's pretty much the main goal of this engine. So that'll do it with automation. The car company Tycoon gave with this powerful and stress-free inline 3 engine, revving at around 7,000 RPM and producing over 1,500 horsepower. There is absolutely no problem running this engine in any car. Normally, you get a lot of problems when getting the most power, but this engine tells a different tale compared to my other engines that I've made in the past. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future, including my automation to BeamNG Drive videos too. So this is TRIZE rising up and signing out.